Hello, everybody. This is Charisma, and I'm just so fed up right now. I've exhausted all options, and there's nobody out there who gives a flying. You know what? You see, I've been gone from a previous house for almost a year now, and my landlord is still harassing me. Yes, I said that my previous landlord is harassing me. So it's a lot of stuff. Basically, long story short, I moved into a duplex on Capitol, and the man installed a camera facing my doorway, and basically it just escalated to him trying to come over all hours of the day and night, asking me terrible, questions about my sex life, telling me I couldn't have company, and especially male company. And I refused to answer the door for him because I was scared. And he accosted me one day while I pulled up in my car and was like accusing me of slamming the door to the front door and making noise, and it was just crazy. So I called the police because I'm like, you're not about to sit up here and harass me. And the police came, and he's the president of that neighborhood association in the Mapleton Fall Creek area. And the cops came, didn't do anything. So long story short, his wife filed eviction on me the next day, and called the police on me like 3 times that day as well. Called the police, lied and said that I was making a disturbance. What you heard was me crying because where am I going to go? I have an eviction on my record now, even if it's pending. So I just left. I'm in Indianapolis. There's a homeless shelter called the Wheeler Mission. I went to the Wheeler Mission for the night because I knew that they would continue to harass me. I had to get a restraining order on him because on the eviction hearing, he showed up to court. Not once, but twice, because they rescheduled. He showed up both times. I got a restraining order and I served him in court. And, but so the eviction was dismissed, but I had nowhere to go. No one was messing with me because I had a pending eviction on my record. So I ended up homeless. And, so even though what happened, she ended up telling the judge, the wife, the spouse of the man I had an eviction on, ended up telling the judge that I trashed the house, I trashed the apartment, and all these lies. I stole a window AC in the middle of December, and it's 100 pounds, so it's only me. So how am I gonna steal it? And there's cameras everywhere, so all of a sudden you don't have no cameras, because they have cameras in the front of the house, cameras facing my doorway. So you have all these cameras, but all of a sudden you don't know where it went. So just all types of stuff. So they ended up trying to sue me for like $4,000, and at the damages hearing, the judge was on their side because I guess they, I don't know, bribed the judge. The judge and the lawyer she hired knew each other. So they began harassing me in court, saying that I was lying about what I was saying. And this is Center Township Small Claims Court. The judge, Myron Hockman, presided over the case, and he began, I tried to tell them about the infestation. It was just a lot of stuff, a roach infestation that they would never address. Just there was holes in the wall, the ceiling was collapsed. So basically they're slumlords, but all of a sudden I'm responsible for this damage now. And the judge said, well, you probably brought the roaches in with you, and said you're not a credible witness because I was trying to explain to him that I had bought my own mattress for my my queen bed, and I called it a double bed in another sentence. He said that you're not credible because first you called it a queen size bed, then you called it a double bed, just being abusive and bullying. And I said, I have proof because I performed walkthroughs and I had all types of video evidence of how I left the premises. So the court case ended up being continued. And even though everything that I submitted to the courts ended up being false, being true, and what she had said was false, all of a sudden she still wanted judgment for 1 month's of rent, and I had to pay attorney's fees. And that's funny though. Why do I owe a judgment for anything? Because in the damages hearing, she told the judge that I was current on my rent, that I didn't owe any back rent or anything like that. So they made me pay that. But then what happens is they go back. They didn't like that judgment, so they go back, and they didn't even have to file an appeal. They just vacated the previous judgment, and now I have a whole new judgment, whole new court date. No appeal, no nothing. Just a whole new court date and a do-over for them. And in the meantime, the man, the husband, who I have a restraining order on, her husband is still trying to figure out where I live, where I stay. They have contacted the landlord that I have a restraining order contacted my husband, was asking other residents who remain in the premises where I live, where I went. And so lo and behold, the wife files an order in the court to make me give my contact information to the courts. So do you know that Judge Myron Hockman actually called me on my cell phone and told me, this is Myron from Center Township Court, and we need your address. And I said, what's this about? And he was just beating around the bush and wouldn't tell me. And I'm like, and I'm like, why is the judge calling? This is the judge. And I hung up on him. He was like, but before I did, he was like, ma'am, this is the law. The law says you have to give us your address. And, so I hung up on him. I go back to mycase.ne.gov, and he's filed the order forcing me to have to give my address to the courts. And I'm like, so that the landlord can have the address. Now, what kind of sense does that make? I have a whole restraining order against her spouse for harassing me and stalking me, but you force me to give the contact information to the court so that she can have it and further harass me and do what exactly? When you find out where I live, what are you going to do with that information? What are you going to try to do to me? I fear for my life. I fear for my safety. And I've called the original Marion County Superior Court Room 4. I told them I need to add the spouse of the person I put a restraining order on. They said, well, there's nothing we can do for you, and blew me off. I emailed the bailiff at that court. He blocked my email. I've tried to get help from Neighborhood Christian Legal Clinic out of Indianapolis. They told me they're not going to help. There's nothing they can do for me. And I'm at my wit's end, and I'm putting it out here because these people are crazy, and I'm not going to lose my life or my freedom over this type of situation and circumstance. You got the judges. We all know all about the task forces that have had to go up in the township courts in Indianapolis, how they is just a revenue generator, how justice is not served in that courtroom. Because how are these people able to maliciously abuse me and use the court justice system to get money out of me, get my address, and get information to use and hurt me? How are you protecting and upholding the law? Or do you not care because I don't have the right complexion for the connection? But let me tell you, I matter. I deserve to take up space, and I don't deserve to live in fear. I don't deserve to be bullied by previous landlords who have a bone to pick with me because I chose to file a restraint, and it got granted. So obviously the judge thought that there was good reason to grant it for me, because that man was not going to leave me alone. And now his wife is on a tangent, acting on his behalf to do whatever they can to hurt me. And I'm not the one, because number one, my voice will be heard. It's going to be heard. And God is my vindicator. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but God delivers me and you and everybody else who believes on them out of them all. So you cannot hurt me anymore. God got me.